This project was funded by a mini tourism grant from the Town of Barnstable and also a project grant from the Mass Cultural Council. We also have some crafts, like grab-and-go crafts, that have to do with the story walk that just starts down there on the way to the artist shanties. So if you want to pick that up after we're finished, please do. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. Okay. Hey, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Well, and her name, her first name, do I mind if I share that? My name is Antonio, and she is Antonia. So she has the female name, right? Of your masculine and feminine of Antonio. And I come from Brazil. Eu sou do Brasil. Tem alguém do Brasil aqui? Anybody from Brazil here? Yeah, Brazilians are like this. When they hear there's a storytelling happening and it's hot, they go to the beach instead. Because we are beach goers big time in Brazil. Yeah, and I remember that when I was a kid in Brazil, if the sun was hot, we'd go to the beach. Even if we had free tickets to go to the theater during the day, we'll go to the beach instead. And so, é assim que é no Brasil. That's how it is in Brazil. É assim que é. Então eu vou misturar um pouco de português. I'm going to mix a little bit some Portuguese and English, okay? And I don't live in Cape Cod. I don't live here. Eu não moro aqui. I drove actually 6 hours yesterday from Maine. That's where I live. Yeah. And what I'd love to do is tell you a story right off from Africa. Now I am from Brazil. Brazil is the largest country in, can anybody guess where Brazil is? It's Brazil, o maior país, it's the largest country where? Where do you think? In South America. Very good. In South America, which is south of where we are, because we are in North America, right? Now, Brazil has a lot of African people in Brazil, like me. From as light as I look to real dark. You may sit down, or you can come and sit right here. We'll get you some chairs. The show is just starting. Or you can sit in the shade. And 56%, just to give you an idea, 56% of the Brazilian population is Afro descent, like I am. 56. In the US, it's about 16%. In Brazil, it's 56. Okay? All right? Brazil is a really wild place because it's also the largest Japanese population outside of Japan is in Brazil. You know why? Because Brazil grew a lot of coffee, like it does today, and a long time ago, it didn't have enough people to work in the fields. So they created a program to bring people from Japan. Okay? Yes. And you can Google that and learn all the details. So we're going to go to Africa. Now, here's the thing. You may think Africa is a country. It's not a country. No, a lot of people think Africa is a country. I got to be this way a little bit, right? Otherwise, everybody's going to be watching from over here. But most people are sitting over there. So if you want to change and go over there, I think you'll be much better. Because it'll be funny for me to be telling straight this way with most people sitting 45 degrees to my right. So, okay. All right. So this is a cloth from Cameroon. This is from Cameroon, and I didn't buy Cameroon, even though I've been to Africa. I did not go to Cameroon. Africa has 54 nations, 54 countries. 54 countries, some of which you probably never heard the name of, and some of which you probably heard the name of many times, like Egypt, like Morocco, right? Like Libya, right? And Algiers, and South Africa, and Kenya. So here's a story. Guess what was the first wild animal I saw when I went to Africa. First wild animal. There were 2,000 of them. 2,000 of them. It was a National Geographic moment for me. There were 2,000 of these animals with their babies.
Zebra.
And birds were trying to eat their babies. And they're fighting off the birds that were trying to get to their babies. And so there's a lot of noise going on. The gulls were going, ah, 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 ah. The gulls were going crazy, and they were trying to fight off the gulls because their babies were still very young, and they did not know the difference between crossing the road without looking around and crossing the road, you know what I mean? Yeah. There are 2,000 of them. Penguins.
Oh.
Those are the first African animals I saw when I got to Africa. In South Africa, there are thousands and thousands of penguins. But that's not, we're going to stay there. We're not going to stay there. We're going to go to the hinterlands. We're going to go to the grasslands. We're going to go to the savannah, where the grass sways in the wind, where the lion hunts and the zebra gallops, and the wildebeest looks confused. Because that's what they look. You got very close to a wildebeest, and they're like, are you a human or a giraffe? They don't know who you are until you're very close to them. And so, in this grassland, there was a king. It was a lion, but no, you don't have anything to worry about. I'm not going to tell you the Lion King. I'm not going to do that to you. And I know you know that story, so I'm not going to tell you. But you have to understand, there are many lion kings in Africa, okay? And this one had a kid, about, just about to be a teenager. You come in and sit down, I'll tell you some stories, all right? And there's this son, the lion had a son, and the son was going to be the king. Does it make sense? You're the king, you got a kid who's a boy, your son is going to be the king, right? So, just picture this, boys and girls. Your mom or your dad come to you one day and say, honey, you're going to be king. Or, sweetheart, you're going to be queen. Won't you go crazy for a few seconds? I mean, wow! Wow! You're going to sit over there so I don't have my back to you. Just grab a chair and go, no, okay. So the lion got to the sun like this. Son, you know I'm the king of the land round about. And one day you inherit all that you see. Whoa! And that kid, lion, jumped up and down, did the hokey pokey, even though he had never heard about it before. And then it did back flips and forward flips. And then he took off into the savannah with a song. He made up a song. Can you imagine that? And the lion went like this. Ow, 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 I'll be the king of the beasts. Ow, 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 I'll be the king of the beasts. When all of a sudden, it spotted a zebra. You won't believe how many people waste time going, no, it's a black animal with white stripes. No, it's a white animal with black stripes. No, it's a black animal with no, it's a white animal with black stripes. It's a zebra. Okay? And the zebra is there, eating some tall savanna grass. Yeah. And you know what the lion did? You won't believe what the lion did. Yo, Stripes! Do you know who the king's gonna be? Stripes! 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 Do you know who the king's gonna be? Stripes! I'm talking to you. Stripes, over here, Stripes! Stripes! Do you know Ooh, wait a second. Time out. Come on. Is that how you treat a stranger you don't, somebody you don't know? Do you call people by the way they look? Huh? Would you call me, hey, Baldy? Would you do that to me? No, you wouldn't do that to me, right? Huh? Even though I'm proud of my bald head, you'd never go to me and say, hey, Baldy, you never do that. And here's this lion who's going to be king going, yo, Stripes, do you know who the king's going to be?
I have stripes, but my name is not Stripes. I'm Zebra. Who's talking to me like that? I can't believe somebody's talking. Oh, it's you. It's you, the Lion Prince. And you're going to be the Lion King one day, just like your daddy. Your father is a wonderful king. Your mom is a wonderful queen. You're very lucky. And I bow to you, but my name is not Stripes. I am Zebra. And I'd appreciate if you call me Zebra, okay? I'm glad you know who the king is going to be. Stripes. Boom. Does that lion listen well? No, doesn't listen out. No, down. Two thumbs down, right? And the lion got all excited, puffed out its chest, buddy. Yeah, you know, all excited, went, ow, 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 I'll be the king of the beasts. Ow, 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 wow. When all of a sudden, the lion saw the tallest animal of all. He had long neck, long legs. It doesn't even eat grass. He eats the leaves from trees like that. It's a giraffe. I know you know it. I never know it. It's a giraffe. And it was a tall giraffe. And the giraffe was so elegant, you know, guys said, giraffe's tongue, by the way, are like 2 feet long. They have a long tongue, yeah. And you know what the lion did? The lion's like, oh, hey, long neck. Do you know who the king's gonna be? Long neck. Long neck, I'm talking to you, long neck. Long neck, can you hear me up there? Do you know who the long neck? Who's that? Long neck. Who's named Long Neck? I've never met anybody named Long Neck. I have a long neck. I'm proud of it, but I'm not Long Neck. I'm Giraffe. Who's talking to me like that? Oh, it's you. I don't think you know, but I'm Giraffe. I'm not Long Neck. Your father is a wonderful king, and your mom and a queen, and wonderful too. But I'm Giraffe, and I bow to you. I know you're gonna be king. I'm glad you know I'm gonna be king. Long Neck. Oh. This is getting ugly. And the lion puffed out its chest and went, ow, ow. You wanna do this? Stand up right there where you are. Stand up. You wanna do the lion move? Yeah. Let your paw, your paw has to hang from the wrist like this. And no fingers, okay? When you do a cat, no fingers. Fingers are only for apes and monkeys, okay? You gotta crawl your fingers in like this and put your thumb away because this is very monkey ape signature, the thumb, okay? Yep, the opposing thumb. And then you hide it like that. And it hangs from the wrist, so it goes like this. I'll be the king of the beast. I'll be the king of the beast. When all of a sudden, whoa, there's a rock. A big rock. Well, no big deal, right? There are rocks everywhere, but this rock was big and it was the only one. You know, usually rocks like to hang out with other rocks. Have you noticed that? But this one was like, I'm a hermit rock. You know, it's just standing there on the savannah. The grass is blowing, the trees are swaying, and there's this rock sitting there like that. And then the rock has this flat thing moving side to side like this. You know, it's moving. And the lion's like, and then the rock has this long thing. It goes up into the air, right? Elephant! It was an elephant. But the thing you don't know about this elephant, is that it was a mama elephant. It was a mama elephant, and mama elephant was taking some time away from her hyperactive kid elephant. Okay? That's what was happening. Yeah, that's what was happening. And the lion looked at the elephant and the elephant was just tired. You know, mamas get tired too. Mamas need some time off, and there is mama soaking in some volcanic mud, like in a spa. You know, mama's getting a spa treatment and soaking in some volcanic mud like that. And then there's some spring next door, and mama gets water and goes, shh. And the lion's like, yo, Trunks, do you know who the king's gonna be? Trunks, do you know who the king's gonna be? Trunks, I'm talking to you, Trunks. Do you know? Trunks! Is this lion gonna learn a lesson or what? I don't think this lion's gonna learn anything, is it? You know, and Mama Elephant could hear the lion. You know, don't get fooled. Mama Elephant could hear the lion, but Mama was using a tactic that a lot of you mamas use. Ignore her for a while and see if he passes. Yeah, when your mom doesn't answer you, she's ignoring because she's like, okay, he's gonna figure this out, or she's gonna figure this out. I'm just gonna let it off. And this lion like, yo, Trunks, I'm talking to you, Trunks. Trunks, I'm talking to you. And then the lion gets closer and closer and closer and decides to tap Mama Elephant on her back leg. Now Mama had it. Mama stood up and took one paw out of the mud, another paw out of the mud, you know, another leg, and another. Mamas, they don't have paws, they have feet, and big feet. And Mama looked down at the lion, blocked the sunlight, and midday became midnight, and the lion's like, whoa, there's no backing away. Mama reached down with her trunk, grabbed the lion by the middle, lifted the lion 10 feet in the air, and went, I beg your pardon? Ma'am, I was just wondering if you knew who the king was going to be, ma'am. It's okay if you don't know. Oh, somebody has manners all of a sudden. Huh? I've been here kind of chilling out, and you've been calling. I heard you way back there calling zebra stripes, and then calling giraffe long neck, and you're calling me Trunks. You're going to be king one day, but you're not acting like one. You're not even half of the king your father is. And you know what? Being a king is not just a title you're going to carry on your head or on your chest. Being king is getting along with all around, with all in your kingdom. All right? So, smarten up and remember your manners. Yes, ma'am. I won't forget my manners, ma'am. I just got too excited, I guess. Excitement does not mean lack of respect, young man. Don't forget that. Sun is low in the sky, time to go home. Bam! Ouch. You know, the lion was not hurt physically, but his pride was. He tucked his tail between his hind legs, and when he went home with a whole new song. Ouch! 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 I'll be the king of the ouch! Ouch! I'll be the king of the beast. The ouch vanished at the end of that day, and that lion learned how to listen really well and became a wonderful king, just like his dad was, respected all around and the land included. All right, so give yourselves a big hug for good listening, okay? Okay, all right. Now, I've had the pleasure and fortune and an amazing time telling stories in 16 different countries, and I've been to 48 out of the 50 states in the United States, okay? And even during COVID now, I've been busy doing Zoom stories in Morocco, in India. I taught a workshop the other day in Singapore, and tomorrow night I have a show on the internet, and I'm here with you now, and it's been a wonderful life. And I was born and raised in Brazil, and I came to the United States 33 years ago to study, guess what? Mime. Yes, I'm a mime and I'm a storyteller. Can you do both? Of course you can. Just don't talk when you're doing the mime. You know, as simple as that. Just don't talk when you're doing the mime. Okay? So I'm going to do a mime short piece for you, and you'll be able to see it even from where you are, because my hand, I'm going to tell you a story. My hands. Okay? So let me put this water here. And I'll keep my hands right in front of my black shirt so you can see even from over there. Next, can you see my hands here? All right? The whole story is going to take place right here. My face is not going to get involved at all, just my hands. It's 1 minute long story, and it tells a beautiful tale that happens in nature all the time. So it's not a charade game, just watch. You don't have to guess what it is. Just take it as it comes, okay? So I'm going to stop talking, and I'll move my hands for about 1.5 minutes, and my hands will tell a story. And it's not sign language either, okay? So here we go. Okay, this is a good angle here, everybody can see it, okay. And that's the end of that story. And you know what? Did you hear that silence? Even the people were not yelling anymore, no car horn, nothing. That was so awesome. So nice and quiet. 3 basic moves. This is not even a move, it's just a stationary pose. And then this move told you a story of the life cycle of a butterfly. Very good. Very good. So this was the caterpillar. And this was what?
Chrysalis.
The chrysalis. Very nice. Now there's a secret to this chrysalis. If you go to my website, you're going to see me doing this in my website, in one of the videos there. But I don't reveal the secret in the website because it's just a performance. But since I'm here with you, when you try to do this at home, because I know you're going to try to do this at home, don't close the back of the chrysalis. Don't close the back. Leave it open with your thumbs in there, nice and open, like a canoe hanging from the ceiling. Because by leaving the back open, the front looks nice and round, like the chrysalis does, okay? All right, yes, yes. And you can tuck your thumbs in there, and tuck your thumbs. So that was a mime piece. Mime is not a person with a white face. Mime is not a person with white gloves or a striped shirt. That was the outfit of Marcel Marceau, who was a very famous French mime with whom I had the privilege to study under. He was one of my teachers, and that was his outfit, and he was world famous. So everybody thought that being a mime, you have to have the white face and the striped shirt. You know why Marceau used the white face? Marceau used the white face. He was very old-fashioned. He was old-fashioned. I saw him live in the theater twice after I studied with him. Once was in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and the second time was in Barcelona, Spain. And when I went to see him both times, he never blinked the lights of the theater to start the show. He had somebody in the back hit the stage 3 times with a stick. Because that's how it was before electricity. In the big theaters in Europe, before electricity, in the buildings, you didn't blink the lights because there were no lights to be blinked, okay? You hit the ground 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. That was one warning. Boom, boom. Second warning. A few minutes later, boom, it's gonna start. Okay? Or maybe it was the other way around, but it was like a sequence like that. Okay? And the white face, guess what? Imagine you're in a theater with 2,000 people, and you are as far away from the stage as those people are walking over there. This is the stage, and you're sitting way over there, and there's no lighting. Really. How could they see you? They had candles in the candelabras, they had candles on the chandeliers, it was all candles, and the performers pancaked their faces with white makeup to reflect as much of the little light there is available, okay? So that became the thing to do back in the times of Amadeus, Mozart, right? The operas, the great operas in Europe, you have 2,000 people packed in an opera house, and all the chandeliers are lit with candles. So they had to make up with white makeup, okay? And Marcel Marceau did that in his shows, all right? And that was a story he told us in class to the students. Now, I'd like to tell you a story that really happened to me. Would you like to hear something that really happened to me? Besides studying with Marcel Marceau? This happened to me, but really the main character here is my wife. And the reason why I'm going to tell you this story is because I want to give you the power to tell your own stories at home. Walk away from the computer every once in a while, folks. Walk away from the cell phones every once in a while, folks. Sit around at the dining room table or out on your deck, if you have a deck, and tell stories. Tell stories about when you used to get in trouble. To him. My daughters love stories when I used to get in trouble when I was a kid. Okay? And tell stories about when you embarrassed yourself in front of somebody else. And you know, everybody's gonna laugh, you're gonna laugh. Tell stories. So this is a story that really happened to us in Maine, and I call the story, Why Did Our Cat Go Bonkers? Meaning crazy. Why did our cat, Juniper, go crazy? Because that's what she did one night. This is a long time ago. I had just moved into a new place with my wife. We are still to have a kid, and so we took advantage of every time off we had. And it was a weekend, we went out to dinner, and guess what happened? We come home late at night, and the plants are all broken and spread all over the living room. What happened with the orchids? They were flipped over, there was dirt on the couch. Oh no! Look, what happened with the amaryllis? It's broken in half. All the dirt is all over the rug. What happened? Is this Juniper? Juniper was the only one animal we had. And we look at Juniper, and she's in a corner of the living room. Her eyes are this big around, and she's breathing rapidly, and she's like completely stressed out. We're like, was it fireworks? Dogs don't like fireworks. No, maybe it was fireworks. But cats don't like fireworks. And there was no fireworks that evening. It was not the 4th of July. It was not the week before the 4th of July. No, not fireworks. Did somebody bang at the door? Why is Juniper gone bonkers like this? So we cuddled with her. We calmed her down. We cleaned the living room. And we straightened the plants that were salvageable. Some we had to get rid of. And we went to bed holding Juniper. And we fell asleep. Well, in the morning, I wake up to the worst alarm clock in my life. You know what was the alarm clock in the morning? My wife's sharp elbow. She's going like this, boom, right in my rib. I'm like, ouch, what have I done? Ouch, what are you doing? She's like, listen, there's something downstairs, you know? And I listen, you know, I'm half awake, guys. I'm half awake. And I listen, and they're scratching, and pots falling, and plants falling. And I'm like, oh no, Juniper is going crazy. She's gone crazy. She's breaking things downstairs, and we are in the house. And then my wife looks at me, and she points down to the foot of the bed. And guess who's there, sound asleep? The cat. Oh no, you just figured something, right? Oh no is right. And all of a sudden, we're trying to figure out who is in the house. Somebody's downstairs. We are the only two in the house, only two human beings, and the cat is the only four-legged being in the house. And then my wife goes, "Ah, I know what happened." I said, "What happened?" "I remember this when I was a kid. It happened when I was a kid in my parents' house." I said, "What is it? Tell me." "There's a squirrel in the house. A squirrel fell through the chimney. I bet a squirrel fell through the chimney and is loose in the house." I'm like, "A squirrel is loose in the house?" She's like, "Go get it." And she shoved me off the bed. She shoved me out of the bathroom. And you know, my wife is a fourth grade teacher. She's used to hurting kids all day long. But when it comes to hurting rodents, she doesn't want anything to do with it. And she grabbed me from behind. You know, I'm wearing this t-shirt, and she grabs the t-shirt and I become a human shield. She's like, "You first, you first, you first." And I'm going down to the top of the stairs, and she goes, "You go down first." I'm like, "Wow, easy there." And I'm going downstairs, and I see on the corner right there of the couch, there's a squirrel. There's the squirrel, completely freaking out. And then I'm like, "There it is." And then I remembered something. You know what I remembered? I remember when I was going to college in Maine, and I was a foreign student with no money, and I lived with a host family. A family, an American family took me in, so I could afford to go to college. And a baby squirrel entered the house one day. But because it was a baby squirrel, with a towel, I was able to throw the towel on the baby squirrel and grab the baby squirrel through the towel and get rid of it. But this was a massive gray squirrel. The thing was probably rabid. It was like this big. He had fallen through the chimney. And then we noticed how the chimney the soot was all over the place. We had not noticed that the night before because the plants were enough, a mess. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna get a towel." And I run into the bathroom, I get a towel, and I'm trying to grab a gray squirrel with a towel. And the thing is like this. I'm like, "There's no way I can get this thing with a towel." And then I remember another time. Guess what I remember? A time I was in my mime class in the woods of Maine. The mime teacher studied under in the 80s and 90s. His name was Tony Montanaro, and he turned a farm barn into a theater and a studio to teach people from all over the world there. And I'm asleep, and I hear a mouse. And then I said, "There's a mouse in my room." And I wake up, and guess what? I'm sorry, I was already awake. I turn on the light, that's what I mean. I turn on the light, and guess what I see hanging on the ceiling above my head? A bat. There's a bat in my room, hanging from the ceiling, about to drool on my mouth. Okay? The thing is like this. So I grabbed a box and a broom, and I was able to get the bat. The room was small, and I trapped the bat with the box. And I said, "Okay, I know how to do this. I'm going to get a box." So I grab a box, I grab a broom, and my wife is grabbing me from behind, and there's no way. This thing is like, it's going all over the place. And I'm like, she's remote controlling me, like I control my remote control airplanes. You know, I'm like the ex-Terminator, moving around with her moving me. I'm like, got it. And then the squirrel goes into the kitchen. And then there's a bedroom downstairs next to the kitchen. And the squirrel goes into the bedroom. And guess what happens next? She locked me in there with the squirrel and told me I was not allowed to come out until I had the squirrel. She locked the door and said, "You're not leaving the bedroom until you have the squirrel." And I'm like, ching, fing, fing, fow, fing, ching. And all of a sudden, the squirrel disappeared. The squirrel was gone. And I'm like, where did the squirrel go? So I look under the bed. Was the squirrel under the bed? Nope. I looked under the armchair. Was the squirrel under the armchair? No. My back is to the closet, right? And I hear scratching in the closet. And I'm like, there is a squirrel. It's right there behind me in the closet. And I turn around and the squirrel jumped and I couldn't see the squirrel and the squirrel is jumped and it's right there on my back, the squirrel. And I'm like, wow! And the squirrel flies over my shoulder and my wife goes, open the door, open the window. And I open the window and guess what happens next? This poor guy who was more afraid of me than I was of it, flew out of the bedroom, through the window, across the 15-foot wide deck, and right into the side of the grill, and knocked himself out. He went, I'm not making this up. He flew into, it was going so fast, he went bam, right into the gas door of the grill, and went boom. So my wife allowed me out of the bedroom without the squirrel because the squirrel was out. We go to the deck, and the squirrel was still like this. And then the squirrel's eyelids began to move, and it right itself up and took off into the woods, and it was never seen again. And that's the end of that story. All right. And you can say hi to my buddy here, my buddy the squirrel. And I sculpted this with air conditioning foam that I bought at the hardware store. And you can visit with him later, but don't touch because of COVID. But I'll sit him here, and you can visit with him later. Isn't he cute? Isn't he cute? Yeah, he's very cute. I'll put him here like this. Oh, he knocked himself out again. Look at that. Okay, so how are we doing time-wise? Folks on Facebook, I hope you're listening, and I'm making some sense to you on Facebook. And I have no idea of what time it is. I know it's sometime after 2 o'clock, because I started at 2 o'clock. Is it almost 2 o'clock in the morning? No.
I don't know.
20 off, so we have time for one more story. You guys ready for one more story? How about a spooky story? Would you like a spooky one? No, I'm not going to tell you a spooky story that's going to leave you awake at night. Parents, don't worry about that. I'm not going to traumatize your kids, okay? This is a spooky ha-ha story. Not spooky, oh no. It's a spooky ha-ha. And that's the story I'd like to leave you with today. And it fits really well what we're going through in the world these days. And so grab this story I'm going to tell you and take it with you and tell it to as many people as you possibly can, okay? Now, this story is not new. This story has been around for a long time, when a time where there's no running water in the houses. If you needed to get water to cook and clean and wash, you had to go to the river or go to a well. It's a time where there is no electricity in the home. You had to light things with candles or kerosene lamps, oil lamps, maybe whale oil lamp, like it used to be here in, a lot of whale oil coming through here in New England. It is a time when kids didn't play with their thumbs. They played with their whole bodies outside. All right? They used their whole body. They climbed trees, they got boo-boos, and that was okay to get a boo-boo every once in a while. I have many boo-boo stories, but there's not time for those right now. And in this cute village, all the houses looked the same. The streets and alleyways were cobblestones. Asphalt was still to be made because oil was still to be discovered. And the windows didn't slide up nor down. They swung open and swung back. And as I said, kids played outside all the time. And this particular village had a big wall. The wall was tall. The wall was all around the village. And there was a gate. And the gate would be open. And farmers would come on the weekend with their produce and make beautiful farmers market with delicious vegetables and legumes and all kinds of vegetables, right? And then Travelers would come in and go out. Window sills had flower beds in them. Oh, it was so pretty. Like it is in many places today. And one day the kids were there playing, when all of a sudden, the ground began to shake. And it had a rhythm to it. It would shake and stop, shake and stop, shake and stop. Somebody said, perhaps an earthquake. No, earthquakes don't have rhythm. They just shake, 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 and rumble, and then they stop. This is shaking and stopping and shaking and stopping and shaking and stopping. What could this be? And so they ran home, the kids, and the parents were wide-eyed, and they're like, what is going on? Things are falling off the shelves. We don't know what's going on here. Let's go to the village square. And when they went to the village square, you might ask, why the village square? But that's where they gathered to talk about problems and talk about wonderful things as well. But this was a problem they're trying to solve. What was making the ground shake and stop? The whole village was there. The whole village was there. Do not open the gate. Keep it closed. I think it's coming from out there, somebody shouted. Another came running with a tall ladder, and he leaned the ladder against the wall. I'm going to get up there, I'm going to tell what I see. I think it's coming from out there too. Just hold on tight. And people were watching him go up that ladder. And when he got onto the top of the wall, what he saw coming turned his face pale as a ghost. For are you trying to sneeze? What is it? Just tell us what you see. I see it. I see it. I see it. I see a giant. A giant is coming. And when people heard the word giant, they ran home as fast as they could. The kids grabbed their parents by the hand, and they couldn't even keep up with the grown-ups. The little kids went flying like kites. They got home, they opened the doors, and they threw the kids inside like this. The kids were bouncing off the walls. No, they're not bouncing off the walls. No, they just shoved the kids in. They shut the doors, they shut the windows, and for the very first time, was only the giant outside. Kaboom! 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 O gigante chegando, o gigante enorme, o gigante, o gigante enorme, it was such a big giant, the gigante lá, aí o gigante, some people had not even seen the giant, algumas pessoas não tinham nem visto o gigante, and they were wondering what the giant looked like, and so they started to create stories. Instead of taking a look, they start making up things about the giant, you know? And eles começaram a contar história, falar coisa do gigante. And some said that the giant had hair like a storm, parecia uma trovoada, o cabelo do gigante. Others said that the giant's eye sockets, you know, were so deep, you couldn't see his eyeballs in there. Não dava para ver os olhos dele lá dentro. Não dava para ver os olhos dele lá dentro da cabeça. Others said that his nose was so hairy and long, the hairs were long, and there were boogers dangling from them. Tinha meleca pendurada no cabelo do nariz gigante. Wow! And then some said that his chest was so hairy, o peito dele era tão cabeludo, that you need a flashlight to walk in there if you had the courage to do it. You know? Tinha que ter uma lanterna para entrar lá dentro. Others said that his belly button was this big. And the umbigo dele era desse tamanho, and 2 hairy spiders lived in there. And they would come out and clean his mouth after every meal he ate, you know. He cleaned his mouth like that. You know, he limpar a boca dele. Others said his feet smelled like rotten fish. Outros diziam que o pé dele cheirava igual peixe podre. And the giant was coming. E o gigante chegando. E o gigante chegando. E o gigante chegando. Bum, 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 o gigante chegando. Quando de repente, all of a sudden, alguém abriu o portão. Somebody opened the gate. Ai meu Deus. But it was not the giant. Because the giant, people couldn't feel him still coming. O gigante ainda estava vindo, não foi o gigante que abriu o portão. Barabum, barabim, barabum, barabim, barabum, barabim. Não foi um gigante. So some folks who lived by the gate, umas pessoas que moravam perto do portão chegaram na janela, they got to the window like this, and they saw who had opened the gate. Eles viram quem tinha abrido o portão. You know who it was? Quem é? It was a kid like you. Yep. Era uma criança. Some said it was a girl. Some said it was a boy. You know, people were so nervous. As pessoas estavam tão nervosas que não conseguiam ver se era menino ou menina, mas pelo tamanho era uma criança. Estava lá. The kid had opened the gate. And when the kid looked at the giant, quando aquela criança olhou para o gigante, the kid went like this, fez assim, ó. And then the kid started to walk towards the giant. Yeah. And the giant was coming. O gigante estava vindo e a criança andando. O gigante 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 vindo e a criança andando. Quando de repente, all of a sudden, that giant started to shrink for that kid. The giant was shrinking. All of a sudden, não era mais um gigante. Não era mais a giant. Depois, it looked like a kid too. And then it got smaller. And all of a sudden, the giant had grown this tall. O gigante era desse tamanho. And when the kid got to the giant, you know, the giant got this big, guess what the kid did? Did not step on, no, pisou, no, chutou, no, didn't kick, no. That kid was so nice. Aquela criança, se era menina ou menino, não interessa. That child picked up the giant so gently. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Ooh, your feet smell terrible. Seu pé tem chulé horrível. Mas o meu pior. Mine is way worse than yours. Hey, what's your name? Meu nome, my name is Fear. Medo. That giant was named Fear. How about that? Fear was the giant's name. Medo era o nome do gigante. And the end of that story has come. Okay? So tell that story as much as you can. And whenever it gets too big of a giant in your head, whatever you're thinking about sometime, and it gets to be a giant in your head and keeps you from moving, and it keeps you from leaving the house, and it keeps you, just get to know more about it. Get to know more about it, because the more you know about it, the less afraid you are of it. Does it make sense? And that is everything. Guess what was the biggest, the squirrel, I started this skill very similar to this one. We did not know what it was, right? We did not know what it was, and it was like it was a robber at one point in our imagination. It was an intruder. It was some scary thing. And the poor thing was more scared of us. O esquilo estava com mais medo da gente do que a gente com medo do esquilo, right? And then, you know who was the big giant in my childhood? I had a big giant. He made me sweat cold. He made me sweat cold and shake. Math tests. Oh, I did not test well when I was a kid. I still don't test well. If you look at me with a serious face and you go, Antonio, 2 + 2, I might say 35. I might freak out and say 35. Yeah. Even though I know 2 + 2 is 4, if you look at me with a serious face, you know, 2 + 2, I'm like, 22? I'll go like that. That's not 2 + 2, that's 2 and 2. That's 22. So tell that story, and be like that child. And of course you're not going to go out to a dangerous place, where you can go out to the library and read the books about the things you're afraid of, and then you won't be afraid of it. like I'm afraid of white sharks. Now, are there white sharks going to come to my house? No. Are the white sharks come to my lake where I live in Maine? No. Right? Do I go in the water where there's white shark? No. So I have nothing to worry about. I know where the shark is. I know where I am. I'm not going to fool around with the white shark. I have a lot of respect for them. They've been around longer than we've been around. Right? So you see, fear, it's not when you don't put your thumb, quando você não põe o dedo na tomada, when you don't put your thumb, your finger in the outlet, it's not because you're afraid of the outlet. It's because you know better. You're not afraid of it, you just know better. The fear I'm talking about is that giant that grows in your head and makes you look at somebody in a disrespectful way sometimes. That's the fear I'm talking about. It's the fear that will keep you from going somewhere in the world because you don't speak the language. You know, don't let that fear paralyze you. Let that fear promote knowledge so that you read books about it and you know the do's and don'ts about it, and then you're safe and you know what to do. Does it make sense? That's just like the same thing that happens in your school. A mesma coisa que acontece na sua escola during a fire drill. You don't have to be worried about fires, but you have to do the fire drill so you know how to deal with it. Does it make sense? Yeah, it's the same thing. Mesma coisa. Oh, I dropped something over there. Let me put the squirrel here next to the water. I dropped something. Caiu uma coisa do meu bolso. Something came out of my pocket, I think. Olha só. Só um minutinho. Wait. Muito obrigado. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada.
Muito obrigado. And thank you for listening. Obrigado por estarem ouvindo de casa. I have lots of stories online you can watch. Okay? And I also, if you have DVDs at home and you still have a CD, at least in your car, come over here. I'll put my mask on. Vem aqui, and I'm going to give you some surprises for you to take home. And for those who are listening at home on Facebook, estão ouvindo de casa, podem vir na biblioteca to get your DVD and your CD. I don't have endless amounts, but I have some. Okay? Muito obrigado. Thank you so much. And please spend time with each other telling stories. It's a wonderful, wonderful healing. And it's good for your immune system, it's good for your knowledge, and it binds you with your parents, and it's wonderful for you. I have two daughters, one is 25, one is 10, and they're both raised with stories of my childhood in Brazil. So todas as duas histórias da minha infância no Brasil, and my 25-year-old still says, remember when you told me about this, remember when you told me about that, and when I used to take it to Brazil all the time, I used to take it to the spots. I said, that story I told you happened right over there. That story I told you happened over there. She's like, wow. And the little one is the same way.
Yeah, yeah. I ran out of stories now. I have to make up stories because it's been 10 years that I tell her story. So I make up some stuff. Okay, come on over here and